Hello everybody, and welcome to Skyward Sword, where we are doing the Trial of Courage.
Yep.
And we need 11 more Dusk Relics. I was just looking up all of the upgrades and doing the math to find out how many more we needed to get all of our upgrades, and it is apparently 11. So, we probably will not be getting them all right away. But I'm going to try to get 5. Because 5 is what I need to upgrade my Sacred Shield. So, I'm going to aim for an absolute minimum of 5. So, I apologize if I maybe die on purpose once or perhaps twice. There should be more than just 2 Dusk Relics in this place, though. I should only have to die once on purpose at the most. So, that's the hope anyway. Right now I'm looking for them. I'm not really... There's a third one. Alright. Let's, I don't suppose I can use beacons here, can I? Apparently I can. Nice. Okay. One here. Don't remember where the other one I picked up was, but I think it was around there somewhere. That's alright, we have beacons. That will tell me where they are for now. There's another one down there. I can slam into this tree here and get another one. There we go. And I need to run up this hill to get this tier. We've got 4 at the moment, so that's pretty dang good actually for a single run through. Wow, we have 5. Oh shoot! Leave me alone! Oh jeez. Well, we have 5. That's what matters. And so, I don't need to die on purpose, but I'm gonna try to not die here. But these guardians are right here! Oh shoot. I'm about to die because I have no running speed. Yes! I missed that. Get it! Woo! And I almost stepped into the water. That would have been great. Alright. That was close. My heart was pounding there for a second. Let's move this down. Shortcut. Ow. Just smacked myself against the freaking side of the desk here. I do apologize for the constant squealing of the microphone and noise that I make whenever I hit something, but unfortunately that is just a thing. Oh, water seats. Right, so we gotta wait for the water to come back and then wait for it to go away. I just have 2 more of these things I have to find. No Dusk Relics? No Dusk Relics. Where are the last 2 of these tiers of furore? Don't know. But yeah, didn't you have something you wanted to mention about the topic from the previous episode?
Yes, basically, as I was trying to explain before, in my fanfic I had this, vampires is basically those with a virus who, well, from what I wrote, they need blood to stay alive because they can't generate any more blood themselves.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the general idea of vampires. Yeah. They can't... They're undead, so their blood has stopped pumping. Mm-hmm. Except that they're not skeletal or anything, which means that their flesh still yearns and needs for blood to pump oxygen and stuff. So That's part of the reason why vampires need blood.
Yeah, and because of this ideal I have, it doesn't mean that every single thing that would kill them in like any other story wouldn't really kill them. And well, in a way, they are more like if you cut off their hand, they're going to lose that hand, and they can't regenerate it no matter what.
Right.
If they get stabbed in the chest and die from that, they'll still die.
Right.
So technically, they're still basically human, but still undead in a way too.
Right. Makes sense to me.
The whole idea with this fanfic is they are kind of looking for a cure, because if they go, it's like, okay, we'll just go ahead and end our lives. The problem is the virus will still continue on, and they don't want other people, like the whole
Right.
human race to
infected with it.
Yeah. Yep. So basically, in a way, they have a set up for rules where, yes, you can turn people to vampires, but they have to help out trying to find the cure.
Right.
So yeah, it's an interesting ideal in the spin on the whole vampire monster race thing.
Right. Definitely.
I mean, one of the things that always bother me is most vampire stories, they're either romance novels or horror novels. And I'm like, why can't they just be friendly or...
Shoot. I don't have any more tears. I have to run. Oh, crap. Oh, this is bad. Oh dear. I'm screwed. I'm dead. I'm not dead yet. Somehow.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so lucky.
I was so lucky that I just did not die there. Oh, crap. Running. This is,
So yeah, my idea for vampires is basically in the way that I have set up, there can be either good vampires or evil vampires.
Right.
Those who kind of spread the virus for their own wants, right?
Right.
Their own needs and such. Or those that want to hit the cure and still only slightly spread it, just to get others to help with the finding a cure.
Right. Yay! We got the water dragon scale.
Yay! But yeah, I always hate the idea of vampires either being only evil or only being there for romance purposes.
Right.
Why can't there be good vampires, or why can't there be vampires that aren't romantic interests?
Well, part of the reason that vampires are always evil is because the original vampire, known as Dracula, and of course everybody knows that.
Yeah, he's technically evil.
Well, the original vampire, Dracula, is actually based off of a real-life person.
Oh yeah.
I don't immediately remember his name.
Yeah, he is based off a real life person. He is kind of I forgot. Okay, let me just say it. It's even known in Japan. Like they use it in some stories too.
Yeah.
Like it's even mentioned in Detective Conan. I should know this.
Yeah, I remember now. There was a guy, his name was Vlad the Impaler.
Impaler, that's it.
And
Vlad
he was
the
a
Impaler.
count of, I don't remember what place he was a count of, He was a count somewhere, and he was a very, very strong alchemist. He spent a lot of his time learning like alchemy and stuff like that. But beyond the fact that he did a lot of like alchemy, he went to a school that taught him dark magic and alchemy known as the Scholomance. And the Scholomance is basically this place of, you know, evil and stuff like that. Just about any mythos that you ever encounter that deals with Scholomance always pictures it as a school of like arcane evil, devil worshipping, things like that. Heck, even the World of Warcraft Scholomance, which was horrifying, was a school of black necromantic magic and stuff like that. But the idea was that Vlad the Impaler, or Dracula as he was called, was this guy who was so crazy that he would capture and torture people, and when he was done torturing them, he would drain their blood and drink it.
Weird.
And Vlad the Impaler was the original inspiration for the Dracula character. And because of the fact that, you know, the original Dracula was evil and such, and the fact that not only was he the first vampire, but the vampirism is transmitted between, you know, vampire and person. It's generally considered that anybody that it was transferred to ended up his slave, which meant that they were evil. You know, even if they wanted to not be evil, they were evil, and there was just nothing that they could do about that. And so the idea of vampires being evil is because of the original inspiration, you know, of Dracula. And the idea of good vampires has been a more recent thing. Even in D&D, or at least I should say in the Versamy handbook, the D&D stuff that I'm writing, even in that, vampires are evil, but they are, while they are evil, they can push against the evil urges. It requires like a constitution saving throw or something like that for it, but they can do it. And so you can make a good vampire, but if you fail your daily save for that day, you become consumed by your vampire primal instincts and essentially, for lack of a better term, turn evil. So that, you know, a lot of stories and such try to depict good vampires, and there are a lot of good stories out there. There's a webcomic that I read called Untouchable, and in that one they took the idea of vampires and said, what if vampires had evolved so that instead of having to drink blood and such, they had to absorb energy in order to survive? Essentially, they're not really undead anymore. They're more like energy drainers. They're dependent on the life energy of other people to survive. And so they can go out in the sunlight and interact as normal humans and such. The problem that they have is if they touch anything, they absorb the energy of it. Or rather, if they touch another human, because humans are the only thing they're compatible with. Mm-hmm. And it's a really interesting comic, and it is a romance. But that's not too big of a deal with the way it's written. But it's a really interesting comic because the idea is there's this vampire who meets this guy that lives right next door to her, and so she hunts him, quote unquote. She uses him for energy all the time, and the way that she does this is by convincing him that she's in love with him, so that he'll be her boyfriend, and then she's free to touch him whenever she wants, basically. Except that the problem is that she pretends for so long that she actually develops feelings for the guy. And the story has been they can't be together because that one of them's a vampire and the other is a human, but she wants so desperately to be with this guy because she's just madly in love with him. It's been a really interesting comic. I've been really enjoying it. But I've been reading a lot of comics as of late that have had really interesting premises and such. So, but it's been an interesting take on the vampire aspect because you don't see many, good vampires that aren't stupid, really.
Yeah.
And I think the way that the artist of Untouchable is handling the vampire aspect for their comic has been really good. They've actually created a legitimate thing. Like, they decided that they're not vampires, they're energy vampires. But being that they're a completely different creature and completely have their own rules, it's like, okay, you're not writing about vampires, you're writing about energy drainers, and so it doesn't matter that there's vampires and that you're not following the rules of vampires. Mm-hmm. Because you're creating your own race, essentially,
Yep.
On the other hand, you get Stephanie Meyer, who's like, let's use a vampire. And let's use all of the vampires' normal weaknesses and things of what they actually are.
Yeah.
And let's not make any sense out of it.
Yeah, honestly, again, when you're ever going to write a story with monsters and one of them, and they're like the generic like vampire or werewolf, decide on what kind of vulnerabilities and what exactly are they first. Don't just copy off another person willy-nilly. Just think it through.
Definitely.
And, yeah. And you'll end up finding out that you might actually make a better vampire than most vampire stories.
You definitely don't copy off of Stephanie Meyer.
Yeah, sparkly vampires not really a smart thing, really.
Nope.
You can easily come up with something more,
oh shoot.
much more creative.
Oh, there's ground here. I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna fall. And then there was ground, and so it didn't matter that I was gonna fall. Get off of there. No, I'm using the wrong weapon, but I was hoping that since I accidentally pulled that one out, it might serve me well. But it did not. But no, so far my vampire race for 5th edition has been pretty good. I've actually, the vampire race that I've made was almost directly taken from the 5th edition rules themselves. The 5th edition vampire in the monster manual actually has a bunch of rules and such for it if a player wants to play it. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of took the same rules from the monster manual because, you know, it's 5th edition and all. And I just use those with a few quirks of my own. Like, for example, you know, vampires don't need to eat or sleep or things like that. I mean, I suppose they have to sleep in coffins, but, you know.
My story, they don't sleep in coffins.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the characters I wrote for the fanfic was saying that is very inappropriate.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
I hate this fight so much. Because you can get knocked
Actually,
off
you can just, if he has a shield, you can just run up to his shield and go around him.
Yeah. But I didn't have room to run was the problem. Because I'm on this teeny tiny little platform! Okay. So, for some odd reason, it did not drop me off at the top of the tree. And now I don't actually know where I am.
And you had to climb all the way back up.
Yeah.
I did this before. You had to go through the blowfish floaty thingies again.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know where I was because I wasn't familiar with that section of the lake area. So, but now that I've swam a little bit, I've seen where I am. Yes, Fi, I know I need health. Shut up. I can see that my health is low. Really. Try this again. Let's not fall off again. It's just weird because, like... Okay, that wasn't even moving for some reason. It's just weird because, like, usually when you fall from that platform, it restarts you, but it didn't restart me that time, despite me falling off.
If you want, then I'm guessing if you don't fall far enough, you won't go back up there. So basically, when you hit something, you kind of, you know, kept it from doing that.
Well, I think that based on what happened, I think that it was the fact that the Moblin was dead. I think that Moblin, because of the fact that he can knock you off, makes, like, if he knocks you off, it restarts you because you got knocked off by the Moblin. And that's just a good thing to, you know, prevent you from having to constantly do it all over again and so on. The problem was I killed the Moblin and then I accidentally jumped off myself. So I think that's why it didn't drop me, was because instead of falling, I just fell fell myself instead of getting knocked off. So that's probably why. Okay, these things are back.
You're going to have to shoot them again.
Yeah.
And check, yeah, the beehive is still there.
Yep. Have to take it down. Which is fine, I can get more bees. Really, I need... Hang on. Is there any way I can get that? Not without literally dropping all the way down, it looks like. It's not that far down, is it? No, okay. So if I take down, I need the hornet larva that this drops. And so if I drop down there with it, I should be able to get the hornet larva. As well as anger a million bees, and I need to pull out my bug net. Because apparently you can't kill them with a sword.
With the sword, yeah, you can't.
It's kind of awkward. What can you do? So, no big deal. Anyway, once I get back up here, I think we'll call the episode. So if you've been enjoying, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave a like. Feel free to check out my Patreon. Rather, I should say more like, please check out my Patreon. I mean, you can feel free to, but I would really like it if you did. And more that than the others. So, I mean, subscribing and leaving a like is still good, because likes are very good for helping out on growing my channel. Anyway, yeah. Hey, we can save here. That's cool. I guess we'll see everybody next time.
Yep.
Keep calm and punny on, everybody.
Bye, bye.